to Living with Moxie, where Shefali Burns and Donna Martouche, authors, entrepreneurs, and leaders in the world of business, education, and coaching, share ideas, resources, and strategies from the hosts and their guests to provide you with the leverage you require to meet and exceed your business and personal goals. Join us for unique insights from outstanding achievers in business, relationships, health, finances, and living as they share strategies, wisdom, and lessons learned on the path to extraordinary living. Are you ready to live with Moxie?
Hi, everybody. It's Donna and Shefali here on Living with Moxie Radio. Hi, Shefali. You here with me?
I am. Hello.
Hi. I'm so happy to have everybody here this week. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I missed last week. I'm so sorry, but I'm sure you had a wonderful time and did a great job.
Well, it's not the same without you. We did our best. And I think we had some fun. We definitely did. And I'm so excited for today, and we're glad to have you back. And your move went well, everybody. I would let everyone know that you were on your way to moving to Vienna, and you were trying but couldn't get through.
Yes, and I'm now officially in Vienna. I'm loving it, and we've worked out all the kinks, all the technical stuff. We are wired and good to go.
Beautiful. I love to hear that. And I'm so excited for today. So I'm going to get started right now. We're going to start right away. We have an incredible woman on the radio who I've never interviewed on the radio before. I met her in New York when I was speaking at an event on creating money, or the ease of creating money in your life, or different ways of creating money. And we had a whole bunch of really wonderful women entrepreneurs at this event. And I met Carlita Belgrove, who is known around New York and some of the states surrounding New York as the Stove Lady. She's an incredible woman. I'm so excited for you to meet her, Shefali. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. Carlita, are you here with us?
I am.
I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for being on the show with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm going to just give people a little bit of background about you, and then we're going to ask you some questions. So, Carlita, there's been so many articles about her recently. She's been interviewed and written about by Over 40 Females, which is a national organization for women entrepreneurs all over the country. She has just had an article done about her, which was fantastic, in Westchester Magazine. A really incredible magazine here in New York State for Westchester County residents. And I'm going to give you a little bit of her history. So after your 29th birthday, she was a young lady at the time who was an executive finance manager, and she was living in a New Jersey suburb at the time. And while she was enjoying some early Christmas shopping, she picked up gifts for her father, went to visit some friends, and her phone rang. Her friend's gleeful expression quickly changed. She was told, "Go now, your dad has passed out." It was an event that led to a whole bunch of life-changing events from that point forward. At that moment, you realized that one of your worst fears had occurred, and your father had passed away from a heart attack. Now, this had such a significant impact on some of the steps that you took moving forward. It was one of the darkest times of your life, and you have a tremendous amount of faith and definitely have a lot more self-confidence than many people actually are willing to either acknowledge or allow themselves to have, and very determined, I can say, just from knowing you. At that time, you were it says only keeping the phone number. You closed your father's failing appliance business and reinvented a similar business under your own name and your own brand. So this is a woman who really was trained in business, knew business, was doing well in business, was successful, was living in New Jersey, and her dad worked in the appliance business. And after he passed away, she made a really interesting decision that everyone tried to talk her out of. So let's talk about your path, Carlita, how you wound up becoming the Stove Lady. Can you give us some information about that?
Sure, I'd love to, Donna. I just must say that I love the way you talk about me. It makes me feel great. If you could just walk in front of me every day and just say who's on the way. I'd really, you're like a poster.
Well, you
So,
definitely are incredible, and I'm going to tell everybody the story too, just about a little bit later to make them laugh about how when I met you and we talked about money and how you jumped out of your
yes, that
seat,
was
and
funny.
I will tell everyone later. But right now, go ahead, tell us about your story.
Well, my story is really interesting because I was very close to my father. Um, I spent a lot of time with my dad when I was growing up. His shop was actually 1 block away from our house, and we were there after school. And even when he moved across town, I would go in there during the summer. I'd walk across town and I'd work with him. By the time I was 12, I was training like his secretaries on accounts receivable, answering the phone and things like that. And by the time I was 14, I was able to run the business when he went away. So I always knew that I wanted to have a business. There was never any doubt in my mind that I wanted to have a business. I can remember being 12 and saying, I want to own a 7-Eleven, but I'm going to call it something like 612 and change the name so that it's my creation. So I always wanted to have my own something, yeah. I always wanted to buy apartment buildings, and then I still have this idea to buy an apartment building for homeless families. Excuse me, so that the family can actually stay together and grow together. And while they're going through hard times, they can have a place, of comfort where they can live so that when they get back on their feet, they can move on. But it's a place where they can stay together while they're going through troublesome times. Because right now you have a
That's
men's
great.
shelter, a women's shelter. You never have a place where the family can stay as a unit. I've
Yeah.
actually only seen one place like that in New York. It was fantastic. It's on the Upper West Side, and they have a beautiful view. But anyway, so basically, I always wanted to have my own business. Never a doubt in my mind. Now, did I want to have an appliance business? I don't think so. That was never I'm going to wake up and have an appliance business today. So I started working for different companies. I worked for Chase. I worked for Bank of New York. I even worked for McDonald's one time when I was 16. And one of the things that I noticed was as I got older, I realized I didn't want to work for anybody. I worked for Goya Foods, and I loved the experience. I loved the people. It was a friendly company. And 6 months after I moved from my family home in New York to New Jersey and got this job, my dad passed away. Literally, I got the job in June. He died in December. And as I said, we were very close, so it was very, very difficult for me. It was a very dark time in my life. But one of the things that I did was I said, I'm going to keep the business and go on. I almost gave up a couple of times in the very beginning, but something kept pulling me to the business.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finally went in, it was 6 months after he passed that I went in and I took over and I started fresh and I started running the business. I started learning about repairing appliances, and I couldn't just have the business. I needed to learn how to be the business. And I started learning how to repair the appliances. I would hire people who would train me. And as it turned out, everybody who was involved with the business when my dad's around was gone. So I literally was standing on my own 2 feet. And I had to go to school at night when I worked in New Jersey, so I'd travel all the way back to Westchester every night to go to school. And eventually I took over I didn't take over. I did start my own company, starting fresh and new. But within 4 years, somebody by chance walked by and bought a stove for me that was an antique stove. And they showed me how much this stove was really worth after they bought it for only a quarter of what it was worth. So I went to the company in Georgia, and I asked them, can you please train me? Because I don't know if there's anybody in New York who does this, but I'd like to learn, and I don't see anybody around here. And they welcomed me with open arms. I spent 5 days there, and they trained me. I spent thousands of dollars. I started a website, and all of a sudden, I started doing antique stove restoration. I got my first job like in a month, but it took me 14 months to restore the stove. But I loved it, and my customers loved me, so I started taking on jobs that other technicians didn't want to do, and people started hugging me. They loved me. I loved what I was doing. I loved the recognition I got. I mean, how many people come in your house to fix a stove or an appliance, and you hug them? Think about
Well,
it.
I want to go
Mm-hmm.
back just a little bit because you said something. You said something kept pulling me towards it or kept me going. And I was just wondering if you could sort of describe that. Like what was that you just seemed to not be able
Well,
to ignore?
I don't know what it was, but all I know is that my dad's lawyer was like, you can't handle this business. It's a cash business. You'll never succeed. You're in New Jersey. The business is in New York. I just knew that I was going to have my own business. And I also knew that an executive once told me it's easier to take a failing business and turn it into a successful business. So no matter what happened, I kept that in the back of my mind. And I also kept in the back of my mind, it was surprising. I'm going to tell you what really happened that kept me doing this, because obviously I had obstacles, trials, and tribulations, but it was the knowledge, the knowledge that I learned that here's what made me never give up. There were times when I went to fix things that I did not know what I was doing. I had no idea. And somehow, some way, the knowledge would show itself. And I would figure out how to do it. And I would fix it, and I would be successful. And people were happy about that.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish that.
No, it's okay. It's just that sometimes we worry about how we're going to do things. And sometimes we don't need to worry about how we're going to do things. We just need to know that we're going to get them done. When I come home at night, and I think I told you this story before, Donna, I moved into an apartment building to take care of an aunt that was ailing. She was 97 when she passed. But parking around here was not the best. So I'm used to parking in my backyard. Pull up, park, go in. I never realized when people said, oh, I don't want to leave because I'm not going to get my parking spot. I was like, really? Well, that became me. But what I started doing was positive thinking. There's going to be a spot there. So I did the same thing with my business. You don't need to know how you're going to find a parking spot. You just need to say that the parking spot's going to be there, and the universe gives you a parking spot.
And we're about to take a break now, but I want to talk more about that when we get back. So thank you so much. Okay, everybody, we're going to listen to the commercials now, and we'll be with you in just a few moments. Thank you.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatePR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
Hi, this is Tony Bennett, and I'm a volunteer for LifeBeat. The music industry fights AIDS. We all know that there are some new medications for people with AIDS, but there is still no cure. This is why I personally volunteer for LifeBeat. The AIDS crisis is not over, and people need help. Volunteer for your local AIDS organization. They need you.
Okay, we're
Hello,
back,
everyone. We are
everybody.
back on Living with Moxie on OMTimes Radio. Donna.
Sorry.
I'm so excited to talk with Carlita because I just love her story, and so far, what she's been sharing with us has been fantastic. And I just wanted to share with everyone a little bit about Carlita again, just to bring us back to what we were talking about. So Carlita went from being a successful corporate businesswoman into a business where you don't usually see women, stove repair, appliance repair, right? So antique stove repair is now a specialty of hers, and everyone in her life in the past tried to talk her out of going on this path. So why did she choose this path when it's so different from what she was trained in and from what everybody else is doing? And how did she turn a truly difficult time in her life into something that is now thriving and joy-filled? Part of what Carlita just shared with us a little bit about was she used positive thinking, right? And not just positive thinking, but she's using her intuition, and just following her gut, following her knowing. So, Carlita, can you talk to us a little bit more about the positive thinking, especially when, we all have days when we're struggling, right? We're all in business. I'm a woman, I'm in business, I'm a visible minority, I'm in a business that none of my family and friends understood, still don't understand, I don't think. And they all said, why are you doing this? Just, like, why would you do this? Why don't you just stay in the government, right? So, I mean, I had my reasons. I was being called to it. But you said it was something that was calling you as well. And then sometimes when you had those obstacles, you used the positive thinking. You used your guidance asking for a parking spot, for example. But also, did you ask for this type of business or a specific type of clients? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I didn't ask for this type of business. You know, I I just never thought I'd fail. Failure was not an option. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my mom is a very strong woman, and whatever she sets her mind to, she does. And so, even though I had all these things going on, I never saw myself failing. Sometimes we doubt ourselves, and it's only when we doubt ourselves that there's a problem. So, for example, I go to your house and I go to fix something. It's something I fixed a million times. There should be no problem. And I shouldn't doubt myself. But maybe I'm not having the best day, so doubt creeps into my mind, and I
Mm-hmm.
think a negative thought, and all of a sudden I'm having a problem with a job that I've never had a problem with, and I've done it a million times. Sometimes we need to just know that whatever we want is going to be there, and then the universe will direct us that way. When you doubt what the universe is giving you, then sometimes the universe backs up a little bit. So I go into a client's house. I go to fix the stove. And the client says, well, I always run into problems. And I'm like, don't worry about it. This is not a problematic job. I do it all the time. And then what happens? I run into a problem. It really wasn't my negativity. It was her negativity that rubbed off on my
Mm-hmm.
situation. And I remember Donna saying sometimes to me, hey, that's not your problem. That's not your situation. That's somebody else's trouble, and you're putting it in your life. And that's exactly what I was doing, because I already knew how to do that job. But I let them put that doubt that there was going to be a problem, because they said, oh, yeah, if there's a problem that's going to happen, it'll happen here. So I never thought that I was going to be the quote-unquote stove lady. It never crossed my mind. But at the same time, I never thought that I was going to take my dad's business over and not do well. Now, I haven't achieved all of my goals that I've set for myself, but I've achieved goals that I didn't even think I could achieve. So I've been in the newspaper. I've been on the news. I was on NBC News. Who would have thought that Angie from Angie's List would have referred the stove lady to be on NBC primetime news? It's amazing. I couldn't even
Yeah.
think about that, right? Who would have
Yeah.
thought that I'd been on Martha Stewart Radio? I was on Martha Stewart Radio twice. I got in Westchester Magazine that Donna brought up, because Westchester
Mm-hmm.
Magazine puts out something called The Best of Westchester. So I asked an assistant to call and find out, how do you get to be the best of Westchester? And she said it's 180 customers need to write in. I said, I don't have time for 180 customers to write in, but I know I'm one of the best in Westchester. What happened? A week later, they called and they asked, can we interview you for our magazine? Really? Sure you can. Even when I was in the newspaper, they contacted me. I had a horrible sprinkler pipe break in my shop back in 2013. It was horrible. I mean, I almost lost my business. I didn't know that at the time. I knew it in hindsight, right? Because I never thought that I was going to lose my business. I don't want to do anything but this. This is what I want to do. Could I have a second business? Could I buy those homes? Yes, I can. But this is what I want to do. So it never put it in my mind that I would lose my business. It was only until after that I realized a lot of small businesses would have gone out of business if they went through what I went through. But I didn't. Thank God for that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, because you know, I was up 24 hours a day, literally, reading insurance policies, trying to do a whole bunch of stuff. But the bottom line is, not once did I say I was going to go do something else. I always knew that this is what I was going to do, meaning I was going to have my own business. Did I know I was going to be the stove lady? No. Did I know I was going to be on TV or the radio? No. Do I appreciate those things? I sure do appreciate them. Do I live for them? No. You know what I live for? I live for the appreciation of my clients. I love when they're happy. I don't know how to explain it. It has nothing to do with the money. I'm so happy when my client is happy. And if my client is not happy, it ruins the whole experience for me. So when I train a new technician, I tell them it's about the experience. Because think about it. What is life but a bunch of experiences?
Mm-hmm. And you know, Carlita, that was one of the things I was reading about you that really hit home to me. I just loved it. And you know, in it says, I train my team that honesty is more important than their technical ability, because customers don't care how much you know. They only want to know how much you care. And that is coming across so vividly and so clearly in how you are sharing with us that you really care about your customers.
I do. When I was taking 2 and 3 hours to do a repair that takes me 10 minutes now, the clients were like, gosh, you have so much patience. Now, I was an executive in corporate America. The last thing I had was patience. I can remember walking into a pharmacy, and there was no line. And the lady didn't take me. She was doing something. I don't even know if she said, I'll be right with you. I just left because I wasn't waiting, even though I was the only person in line. I have no patience. But by doing this, I learned patience. And I love what I'm doing. I love to take a problem and resolve it, but to not only resolve it to the benefit of my learning, but to resolve it to help somebody. So I think that even though I'm in the business of restoring antique stoves, I mean, this is a blessing, right? I'm taking somebody's grandmother's stove or great-grandmother's stove, people who have passed on, and I'm bringing back to life their energy. And I'm passing that on to their kids and their grandkids. And younger people now are coming out and buying these stoves so they can do the same thing and pass on that good energy. And it's great energy. Think about it. Where does everybody congregate? In your kitchen. Why? Because that's where you make the food. You don't make it with your refrigerator, right? You don't make it with your dishwasher. You make it with your stove. So why not be the stove lady?
Yeah. And, you know, and I'll be honest, I had never heard about antique stoves or restoring antique stoves. This was totally new to me when Donna told me about you. It's like, oh, this is really interesting. But when you go back and you take a look at these antique stoves, there's a magical energy about them. It's like honest. It's like the hardworking family. It's about gathering together, like you said, getting together, you know, and those family values. It's and taking time, you know, it's so important.
Thank you. Right now I'm on CBS and doing a commercial, and what I say is we make history beautiful, because we take historical items and we don't just make them safe and functional, which obviously we do. We make them beautiful again so that people can enjoy them and look at them and get enjoyment just from walking into their kitchen. It provides them with a serene, calming feeling or a feeling of enjoyment when they look at their appliance.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that whole entire feeling. I just think that the whole idea of, you know, so often if you look now, people do a lot of research on bringing their history and their family line back to where they are now so that they can pass it on and they can share it. And there's a whole bunch of businesses that have been started just around that. But there's something about, like, to this day, the certain plates that I keep that are my grandmother's, or something about passing something on that really is connected to the energy of the history of your family that feels so expansive. It's interesting to me. I never thought about it that way before. What about you, Shafali?
Never. And I'm looking at these stoves and I'm thinking, you know what? I might even want to get into cooking.
I don't know about that for me, but
Where are you
You know,
looking at the stoves, Shivali? Where are you looking at them? On Yelp?
oh, on your
On my
website,
website? Okay.
yeah, belgroveappliance.com, you know, and it's like they're
Okay.
beautiful. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And it's so fascinating because they're vintage and they're coming back in style, and you can feel the history, you can feel the character, you know, from them and through them. And I think that's what people like. Is like there's a story with that stove. There's a story with making new food on an old stove. You know, there's a story there. Um,
Mhm.
it's really warm. It's heartwarming, isn't it?
It
it
is.
really is
It
very
is.
heartwarming. We're going to get ready for a break now, but what I'd really love you to talk about when we get back, Carlita, is and everyone, you know, if you want to send in your questions, we're constantly right now on Living with Moxie on the Facebook page and as well as on our Twitter page. So send it in, participate in the conversation. But you know, I really want to talk about what obstacles you had to face and how you were able to get past them as a woman in a business that isn't even a common business for men, but let alone, you know, a common business here for women. So, what were the obstacles and what advice you give to anybody who would really be someone who's starting out in business, who may feel like the odds are against them or they're sort of going against the tide, as you say, where people might be talking them out of it, so that they have some tools and some strategies to keep going and know that success still is possible. So right after these messages, everybody, join us back here with Carlita Belgrove, the Stove Lady, Shafali, and myself. We're looking forward to continuing the conversation right after these messages.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm hoping that you're here and you're listening and enjoying this conversation as much as we are. Again, you can follow us on Facebook on Living with Moxie or at Living with Moxie Radio on Twitter, so you can join in on the conversation here. So, Carlita, we're back, and during break, one of the things that we we had said to think about was what were two of the biggest obstacles that you really had to face, and what tools or strategies did you use to get past them? I know that in your story you always mention everybody tried to talk you out of going down this path, and you had a lot that you had to learn. So could you give the listeners some sort of strategies and some information about how you kept going and just stayed focused and continued on a path to success?
Well, I think one is never doubt yourself. I think a lot of times, especially with women, and men do it too, we doubt ourselves. Just don't doubt yourself. Just ignore the little voice in your head that's creeping in with doubt and say, listen, I got this. I can do this. And again, don't figure out how you're going to do it right then and there. Just know that the how will come to you. I will say that one of the, or two things that stick out in my mind, besides, those two obstacles, one being not knowing what I'm doing, and I'm here as the tech to do the repair, right? And the other one is dealing with people who are surprised that you're going to fix their appliance because you're a woman, or they're doubting you because you're a woman, right? I got that all the time. You're going to fix it? You're going to fix it. Well, who's coming with you to fix it? Can you do this? I mean, I've had to move stoves that were 500 pounds by myself. And you say, how could you move something so heavy? Well, you have to devise a plan. And the plan was make it lighter. Take off everything you can take off to make it lighter and move it. But basically, it was never put it in my mind that I can't get it done. When I have employees now and I train them to do a couple of things. The first thing I train them is not to use the word can't. Can't should not be in your vocabulary when you work with me, because there's nothing they can't do. And when I get an employee who says he can't do it, oh, I can't unscrew the screw, it's too tight, we'll never get it off. And then you know what I do? I do it. Well, how did you do that? Gosh, you have superhuman strength. No, I just don't have can't in my vocabulary. There is no can't, right? My client is depending on me. So there's no, and I do this all the time. I asked my brother to come help me move a stove once. He was like, you can't move that stove. How are we going to move that stove? So the guy who was working with me said, let me tell you something. After I moved the stove, right? Now, after I moved the stove when he said it couldn't be done, the guy who was working with me said, you don't ever tell your sister she can't do something or you can't do something, because she's only going to ask you to do what she's already done. So she knows when she asks you that it can be done. Now, sure, in times when you're working with men and you're in a male-dominated industry and you have to learn from men, you'll come across some great men like Lauren Huck. Oh, my gosh, this guy was the service manager for Crown for 25 years, and, rest his soul, he was such a blessing. He was such a blessing. He would teach me over the phone what to do. And even he said, I didn't think you were going to make it, Carlita, but I'm so proud of you. And your dad would be so proud of you. And things like that kept me going. They kept me going. And I would always be able to go back to him. And, eventually, because I'm a people person, I built a whole network of people. So if I don't know how to get it done, I know somebody who does. So a lot of times, one of the things that I would like to give as a message to people, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. As long as you keep meeting people and you're nice to people and you're open to people and you're open to meeting things and you're open for information to come in your life, it'll come in your life. But if you're closed to all those things, then it's really hard to grow if you're closed. If you close a jar, you can't add any water to it. If you leave the jar cover open, you can get a lot of things in there, right? So you can get bugs in your open jar, or you can add nice, pretty marbles to your jar. You can add a lot of things to your jar. It's you that determines what you're adding, right? And you determine that by your everyday attitude. So if I go into my client's home or I call another technician and I'm frustrated and I'm complaining, he's not going to really want to help me. He's going to say, go ahead and do this, and he's going to leave me alone, and that'll be it, and he probably won't answer the phone. But if he helps me and I'm very happy about it, and then I turn around and help him, because I'm in a field where obviously it's male-dominated, but right now there's not many people doing antique stove restoration, right? I'm the only company in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. And my goal in the short term is to open businesses in all of those locations and eventually have a franchise. And I will do it How I'm going to do it, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to do it, right? I have some people who say you can do this, you do that. I even met somebody who helps people franchise their business. He wanted a whole lot of money to do it, and I said, I don't think I'm ready for that right now. I think that I can do this.
So
So,
I'm gonna just stop you right there I just want to recap for the people who are listening a little bit. What I heard you say, there's a couple of things I heard you say that I think are really key. I mean, number one is really take control over your thoughts and kick the ones out that don't work for you. Shafali and I talk about that all the time. You said, you really anything when you feel the word can't or someone says the word can't, you kick it out. And one of the things we also always say to people is, ask the question. It's not can't, which is a decision in closing the jar, as you put it, which is an excellent example. But it's sort of, well, how can I? What would it take? What do I have to do? And you ask the question, and you have always been someone to walk right up to somebody and say, hey, I need this information. Can you show me? Can you teach me? And that's a vulnerability that I think that some people, when they're first starting out, are sometimes afraid to actually show, almost like I don't want people to know that I don't know. But it's such a gift because it opens, and so many people love to be the contribution to help you more than I think people realize. It's interesting, but I would almost challenge you all to ask people questions, and when you invite people to contribute to you in that way, they are so excited usually to be able to do that. It makes them feel good to be the contribution. And one of the other things you said really was before was about the positive mindset and keeping going and just knowing what your end result is going to be and not worrying about the how, because very often people get lost in the how, that they give up before they even get to finding the information about what the how is. So I think that those are incredible strategies, regardless of what field or what business that you're going in. Those are two really, really wonderful things to keep in your mind. If you read any success story from any person around the world, you'll find times where they say, hey, it wasn't easy. And you've said that, it wasn't easy. People said, don't do it. Many people tried to talk you out of it. It's not like you had this whole cheering section going, yeah, you do this, you could do, you were your cheering section, and you made sure that you controlled those thoughts. And it wasn't easy, and you had a lot that you had to do, but you were determined, and you didn't give yourself a choice, which is something that Anthony Robbins would say is once you make the decision, you leave out any other options, and you use those words exactly. There's no other option. I'm going to do this. So now it's just how, which I think is an incredible gift for everybody to be able to hear. So they know it wasn't easy. You asked questions, you followed your intuition, you kept going. And the fact that you care and you connect to the energy and the history, and I know I've seen you with people. I mean, people do walk away just so appreciative of Carlita and the time and how she cares for making something work, that she winds up building relationships with people, and they just keep referring and keeping in touch and talking to her, and even send her pictures of the stove or the family or the things like that later on in time. It's incredible. So part of that is very much who you are and your thought about what antique stoves actually means in people's lives, or what it could mean. So I'm going to pass this on to Shafali now to add from there as far as that goes. But that's just incredible. Thank you, Carlita. Shafali?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Carlita. It's such a wonderful conversation. And you said a few interesting things that really caught me. And one was about, you have goals, for your, for the future of your business. But who knows how they're going to show up? It doesn't really matter how, but you have them. So what is your opinion on goal setting? And did you set goals, all along through the business, or just when you became successful? Because I think a lot of people, they don't set goals, and that's why they don't know where they're going. They flounder.
Well, it's interesting that you asked me that question. When I first started as an auditor, my job sent me to a Franklin Covey class. Franklin Covey makes day planners, and it used to be Benjamin Franklin, and then I think it was Stephen Covey who wrote The 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People. The two of them merged their companies, and that's how they got Franklin Covey. And so basically, they talked about your life as a jar, and they talked about putting in the big rocks first, because if you put in the sand and the small pebbles, there'll be no room for the big rocks. So you have to plan around putting in the big rocks first. So you plan around what do you want people to say about you when you're gone, right? Because at some point we'll be able to hear what people say about us when we're gone. And if you think about it, that's for an eternity, so we want them to say good things about us. We don't want to live in an eternity with people complaining about she blew my stove up, right? So we want to have people say great things about us. So we want to achieve certain things in life. So what they said was you write down what's your eulogy, and then you go back from there. You write your eulogy, and you go back from there. And then you take your big rocks, like I want to graduate from college. So if you want to graduate from college in 4 years, what's the first step that you have to do? Well, I have to go and apply. So you put that on your to-do list for the day. So today, one of my A1 priorities is to go apply for college. And so they would have you sit every day in planning and solitude, it was called. And so planning in solitude means just that. You sit in peace and quiet when your world is not crazy, and you plan what you're going to do for the day. Now, if you do that every day, you'll be very organized and you'll get a lot of stuff accomplished. Now, in this day and age, with all the technology, I have 2 cell phones and a laptop. It's a little difficult to make everything on your to-do list a check mark that you did it. But if you don't write anything down, then you have no plan. You're just doing whatever comes your way, whatever hits you.
Yeah.
So you never get anything done. Now, there's an interesting thing that I like to say about goal setting, and I think, Donna, it was one of the classes that you and I took. It was over the phone, and I believe it was, and I don't want to get his name wrong, so I won't say it, but he wrote a lot of the books, and he teaches a lot of the classes that you were taking at the time when I met you. But he talks about setting goals. And one of the things you don't want to do is limit yourself by your goals that you set. So, for example, if you say, I want to make $100,000 a year, well, that's fine. And you can set that as your goal. But you should have in your mind, and you should have your mind open, that I really want to make whatever amount is coming to me, and it could be over $100,000, but I'll be open to that. Because you don't want to close yourself off to what the universe wants to give you. So if you're so focused on the goal or the things in the list, you're going to miss your life.
Thank you, Carlita. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back. We're just going to take a short break here on Living with Moxie on OMTimes Radio. We'll be back with Carlita, the Stove Lady Belgrove.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness and action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Want to know some fun facts about colonoscopies? Colon cancer is 90% preventable. A colonoscopy can detect and prevent colon cancer in one fell swoop. But here's a not-so-fun fact. Lots of people are so uncomfortable even talking about a colonoscopy that they never get one. If you're 50 or 45 for African Americans, get screened now. Maybe even earlier if you have a family history. To schedule a screening today, visit StopColonCancerNow.com.
Hello, everyone. We are back on Living with Moxie, here with me, Shefali Burns, and my co-host, Donna Martouge. And today we have a special guest with us, Carlita Belgrove, the Stove Lady. We've been talking to her and really, really enjoying our conversation. She has a fabulous story. She's an amazing businesswoman, entrepreneur, in a field where there are not a lot of people who do what she does. She repairs and restores, I was going to say ancient, but antique stoves, and they are just absolutely beautiful. So, and this is, let's face it, it can be a difficult every day, doing the same thing, and you do get the, negative people. Sometimes things just don't work out. So I wanted to ask you, Carlita, because I'm always fascinated by what types of rituals or practices that people implement every day in their life to be successful, to be in tune with spirit, to stay positive, and to stay centered and moving forward with their goals. So, can you share with us a few of the rituals or practices that you use daily?
One of the things that I do is I say I'm going to have a good day. And there's times that I don't always have the best day, but sometimes you just got to remember that and say, I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to have a good day. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. Sometimes you just have to push forward and ignore all the noise that's around and walk through what is the noise. You know, today the other answer to that is sometimes you have people around you that put you in a better mood. So two people, for example, that I can think of. One is one of the guys that I work with. I'm an extrovert. I'm always all over the place. I'm always trying to get everything done. I'm going for the goal. And he's calm. He's calm, cool, and collective. So when I start going crazy, he'll say, okay, relax, we're going to get it done. And he will lift me up, right? And just like today, I was having I wouldn't say a rough day, but I finished a couple of jobs, but I always want them to be perfect. So I always try to add a little extra love and make sure all the little details are taken care of. And my guys are like, look, let the thing go. So I let it go a little late today. So unfortunately, my guys are actually still out on the road because I didn't let it go until late. But the people are happy, so they've made one stop, and the people are happy. But by having him around, it sort of calms me down. Another person is Donna. I wasn't having a great day, like I said, because things started slowly. And I asked Donna to call me an hour before the show because I knew I was having a rough day and I wanted to be positive. And I knew that just by speaking with her, I would feel better. And I did. I didn't even remember that I had a bad day until you asked me the question. Just from talking to you and her, like for, 10 minutes before the show, it totally turned my day around. So sometimes, you know how they say it takes a village to raise a child? Sometimes you don't have to do everything by yourself. It's not about your family. It's not about your circumstance. It's about who you place in your life to support you mentally when you need support. And sometimes, instead of dealing with people who drain, you should deal with people who add to your life. And there are people who add, and there are people who need you to add to theirs. So by having the balance is what keeps you going. So when I'm not having a good day, I just stop and say I'm going to have a great day. When I'm truly, and that does not work, I contact somebody who makes me have a good day. And sometimes you just have to leave room for meditation, where you just sit quietly, even if it's for a few minutes, and your day will start getting back on track.
I love that. And what I love about that is what you're really saying is, Shefali and I say you get what you're going to tolerate. It's one of the things that we've heard and we repeat often. And what you really just said was you don't have to sit in it. You pick up the phone and you're like, I know somebody who can pull me out of this or shift this energy, so I totally don't have to stay here, and I'm going to use a tool that I have to be in a different place, because why would I sit in it, right? So that's something that I think that takes practice over time, and it's also an attitude and a choice, and it becomes part of what you do. And then what you start to notice is you're less willing to spend any length of time having a bad day. So, where you might be able to, I would say, a while back, I'd say I could be in a miserable place, in a funk of some sort for months. And now I'm in a funk of some sort, if it's hours, it's irritating. It's too much. I'm like, well, why am I doing this? I have a choice. So it's really interesting that you said that, and I love that. I mean, I think that's one of the things that we often say. And I'm just going to share a story about Carlita. So I'm at this
wait a
big
minute.
of.
Before
Go
you
ahead.
share that story, let me just say one quick thing.
Go ahead.
Some people, not everybody, but I know you know this, and I know you're going to share a story about how we met, but let me just tell you the key for how we became friends. Donna will tell you how we met, but there's something that Donna said to me that I was like, oh my gosh, she is supposed to be in my life. And I lost my boyfriend in 2012. It was unexpected, and I lived a very dark life for a very long time after that. And when I met Donna, she had these classes and these sayings, and she had these sessions that brought me back into the light. There was like no way I could still be living on the dark side after meeting her, after taking her classes, after having her coach me. And I just want to say thank you publicly, because I just put two and two together that it is you that made me be able to get myself back together. So I appreciate that. So now you can tell everybody the funny story, because it is hilarious.
Because she never said this to me before.
I know. It's true. I know. If
You're not supposed to make me cry when I'm on the radio. Oh my God.
It's so true, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. And but again, still, I want to say, and I thank you for that. So I'm going to receive that, because I think that's important. But you had to be willing to. I think Tony Robbins says, it takes a moment to change your life. We feel like it's 10 years, and we're so focused on being in that dark spot, but there is that moment. The truth is, the change happens in the moment. So, it's all of a culmination of a whole bunch of things, and you were ready at that time, or something that I said sparked it. Either way, it really, after that, you were on a path to creating so much, and thank you for that. That's really incredible. What happened when I met Carlita was very interesting. I was doing a talk, which I do, which is sort of like, we used to joke and say, if money was your lover, would you still be having sex? And I did a whole entire talk on that for women. And we talked about what their perception in the relationship with money was. And I said, what do you guys do? What do you ladies do when you get your paycheck? When you get, do you sit there and go, oh my God, I still can't pay my bills, and or what do you do? And Carlita jumped out of her seat and said, I kiss that check. I dance, and I go all the way to the bank. I celebrate, and it's her willingness to literally celebrate and it could have been a nickel that we were talking about at the time, but one of the things she has created a habit of, as Shefali said, in her daily life, is she celebrates all of it. So she gets that 5 cents, and she's not thinking she's $100 short of the bill that she's got to pay at the end of the month. She's thinking, oh my God, I'm 5 cents closer to where I want to be. Woohoo! And she is dancing her way all the way to the bank, knowing that the rest is going to show up and she doesn't have to worry about it, without that doubt. That's a practice, and that's an attitude, and that's a focus and a trust and a faith that I think is life-changing for people. And I think that, Shefali talks about it often when she does an Awaken to Happiness Now summit, and she talks about just being able to have the trust and the faith in order to be able to know that you're going to get there and not worry about the how, but talking about doing it and then being able to do it when you're in a daily basis and facing the not having such a great day, or the somebody throwing those comments at you like, well, do you have somebody who could fix the stove? It's not going to be you, is it? And facing all those things throughout the day, I think becomes really a muscle that you have to build, right, Shefali? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's partly what Carlita was alluding to earlier about those thoughts that you get, keeping your thoughts positive, keeping your thoughts focused on where you're going, and don't listen to those negative thoughts, those self-limiting beliefs, just don't, just do it. I just love Carlita's attitude. It's like, you're going to succeed. Just go ahead and do it. Just do it. Find a way. Do it. And it's like, absolutely. There's no room for doubt. There's no room for anything else.
Yeah, and the important thing that you acknowledge, Carlita, is you didn't say that you didn't have doubt. You have doubt. You have to consciously choose to kick it out, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
definitely.
so it's not like she was never afraid or she didn't have doubt. It's that she has made a conscious decision to not allow that to be a part of the way that she thinks. And I think that is one of the strongest, most incredible tools and gifts that you can give as far as people who are listening and looking for. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about relationship, money, business or whatever it is, anything that you're shooting to create in your life, to have that mindset, I think changes your ability to create it really significantly as far as that goes, right? So Carlita, as far as now we're coming towards the end, and if you would like to leave everybody with something. So again, I want to say this is Carlita Belgrove. We call her the Stove Lady. You can look her up. Your website is, Carlita, you want to tell everybody?
Stovelady.com. Stovelady.com.
Awesome. And one last set of words, you said something to us that was so beautiful before the call. You said one of the things that you really love about this is the gift of building and restoring antique stoves is. Can you just say that one more time for everybody and before we close out for the night?
It's bringing the soul of the person who used the stove before forward. It's making history beautiful. It's bringing that great energy to everyone that comes into your home.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Thank you so much for being here with us. And Shefali, I mean, it's so good to have you back. I don't know how I did this without you last week. It's really great for us to be here together. I love that so much. So everybody, Shefali, next week we're going to be doing, do you have that in front of you?
Next week on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about, can you have success without spirit? And many people used to believe you could not be spiritual and be wealthy. But what if being spiritual is actually required to be wealthy? So I'm so looking forward to that conversation next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on OMTimes Radio, Living with Moxie. Join us.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us.
Thank you.
Talk to you next week. Thank you.
Bye for now.